Hello and welcome along again to another Panto podcast. This week it's the second part of my Patton Brothers interview, where I meet Brian Patton. Some of the stories, you could kind of confuse the two gents as twins, as it were, because they recite some of the same stories, which I've kept in, literally verbatim. A very bizarre situation listening back to the interviews. This was recorded last October in 2018, and so I've been holding on to this one for quite a while, waiting for Jimmy to be in good health to be able to record his. Now, there are a couple of naughty words in this that I've had to mark the episode as explicit. It's not explicit language, but because of the conditions of iTunes, I would rather mark them up as explicit, or this episode is explicit, rather than to risk the entire series being taken down for including a couple of saucy words. The humour in this episode is a little bit on the adult nature, so if you are under 16, please speak to an adult to discuss this episode, or to get their approval to listen. It was a very, very funny interview, and there is a little tiny bonus section right at the very end. So keep listening past the jingle, because there is a little something special there for you. I'd just like to say to the Patton Brothers, thank you so much for spending the time with me to share your stories, and thank you so much, gents, for the laughs over the years. Incredible people. Please sit back and enjoy the latest Panto podcast. Hello and welcome along. It's the Panto podcast, and I'm joined today with the legendary Brian Patton. Hello there, sir.
Hello there. Good to see you. Marvellous, in fact. A lovely day as well.
It is. It's beautiful for October.
It is. And I've been showing you around my den.
The den.
It is like a den, isn't it?
It could be a museum.
Well, it is. It is a museum. That's why I'm a bit of a museum piece myself. Yes, a relic. The very word. I wish I'd thought of that.
No.
But yes.
I'm seeing names like Mr. Pastry.
Yes, he was great, Richard Hearn. Yeah.
Oh.
Lovely guy. In fact, he used to get crisps given to him because he used to, Golden Wonder, I think it was, that he did. And he used to get him, he used to give them Jim and I. He'd say, come in, lads, have some crisps. We thought, yeah. And he asked us to do an extra spot because it was Rill we were at with him, at the Pavilion Rill. And he wasn't going like he ought to, because he used to explain that he was going to do change into Mr. and change on stage. Lads, could you do an extra spot? We said, yeah, of course we can. We don't want to tread on your toes, you know. So he was great, lovely guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's from up the road, wasn't he?
He was. You're right.
My old stomping ground, Chatham.
Chatham, yes, crikey. We played there, Jim and I, Chatham. Yes. Where haven't we played? There aren't many places.
Anywhere you'd like to play?
Where do we like? Well, the Palladium was our favourite. Yeah. That was marvellous. We did Palladium, then 10 years later, the Victoria Palace, which was marvellous. That was John Inman, Arthur Lowe, Ian Lavender, Susan Moan. Who wasn't a name? We were the only ones not a name. Where did it all go wrong? Loved the business. We've loved it, Jim and I. And Jim can't do it now, but... you know, wonderful, really was.
The big question.
Yes.
How did you get started?
Well, Dad was a comedian, Gene Patton, Gene, from Geordieland. Mum was a dancer from down in Bromley in Kent. They met at Chatham, which we were talking about, and got together. Jimmy eventually was born. Well, they hadn't got a house of their own. And Jimmy was born down in Bromley, Kent, where Mum was from. Toured for 2 years. Jimmy went on stage when he was 2, doing a little number, everything, which he'll tell you about, I'm sure, if you get chatting to him. And then I came home after 2 years, and so they thought we must get somewhere to stay. Dad could never drive, never drove a car. And so they settled middle of the country, where the LMS and LNER went through, the railway things. That was Rotherham. So we lived in Rotherham the rest of our time. That's where Barry and Paul, our brothers, the Chocolate Brothers, were born. Our sister was a dancer. She went to dancing lessons. And we toyed with the idea of Jimmy and I and her doing an act. But we thought, no, if she gets married, you know, you've lost part of your act, haven't you? You know what I mean? You don't want to tour when they've got husband and kids and whatever. So that was it. Great start. Jim and I together did an audition at Sid Varieties Leeds, straight in to a thing called Honky Tonk. And I was telling you before that Max Miller came on one day and did a spot. It was 1954. Max Miller, the Max Miller. Oh, come here, now come here. Do you want the little white book or the red book? You know, with his gags, it was wonderful. Yeah. Lento the Footlights. Like Mike Reed, as I say, when we worked with Mike, he came on when we were the comics at Butlins at Clacton, and he came and entered the talent contest. And we thought, he sounds a good comic, this lad. So he said, no, I do bits on the side. He said, that's all. So he said, yeah, I'll go on. And he won our thing easily because he was great. And he came third in the main thing, and then Butlin's talent finished. I think Bobby Crush might have won it that year. And then Bobby Crush went on. He's a lovely lad. He's been with us. He thanked us for helping him out when he was first sort of years as Dame, because he does Dame now, and he's good. So he was a good lad, yeah. We've had quite a few who say, thanks for your help, lads. It's not helped us in our way, but we've had a great life in the business, you know. We did better than our dad, because Dad said, you've done better than me, lads. And at one stage, he did say to us, Barry and Paul should pack it in. Good job they did. He did. Because they hadn't been doing work. Paul had become a driver of, he had an ice cream van he used to drive round, and Barry was a bingo caller, because they'd had no summer season that year. So Dad said, just pack it. So he didn't know. He was never alive when he died when he was 77. So he wasn't alive when they made it. So there we are.
What was life like growing up in such a
it's great.
Busy house?
I mean, Dad was touring, but I mean, there was Jimmy, then me, then Sheila, our sister, who went on to the Edge, as I say, then Colin, our other brother, the only one who never went on in the business and stage, lovely lad, and then Barry, then Paul. So it was great because, you know, I mean, the lads say we all shared one room. We didn't. Talking absolute rubbish.
You can say whatever you want on this.
Oh, can I? I nearly said absolute bollocks, but I thought better not. So as you know, I haven't said it. So yes, it's been a great life. Jim and I have done beautifully well. We did televisions. We've done them with everybody, really. Russ Conway we did one with, and he played piano, but he said, we did our act, and then he said, come on, lads, let's play these, some tubular bells. We said, we don't play these. He said, well, I don't either. So he didn't. So he said, we'll take out this, and this. And we did ring out the bells, da, 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 da. And we tap danced to it. He played, and then we said, the bells, and we went, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, which picked out exactly the bells that we needed. Were the only ones left there, and 3 lots of them. So it was great. And on that bill was a great bill. It was Russ Conway's show with guest star Dave, not Dave Allen, no. Anyway, we'll get around to that. And then Edric and Ernie, Morecambe Wise, they were next up. And then a girl singer, Jenny Marden, then Jimmy and I, and introducing Danny Williams. The lovely Moon River sort of thing, yeah. Lovely lad. Gay as a lark, but who cares? Yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful. And he's gone now, poor old Danny, yeah. Lived up in Dundee for a long time, I think. So, yes, we've met so many people in the business. Loved working with Leslie Crowther. Leslie was wonderful. We did 3 pantos with him. We used to play cricket with him in the nets at Nottingham, because we all liked to play him. And Sons and Lovers, they were in the show, and one of the lads, who was a great guy, he bowled real fast ball, luckily he ducked, and he hit him right in the shoulder. Oh, I thought, oh dear, trying to ruin our star, Leslie Crowther. Doing a beamer at him. And then we did, of course, with Ronnie Corbett, we did all Ronnie's pantos that he did once he made a name sort of thing. And he was great. I loved Ronnie, great guy. I can remember at the Palladium saying to me, Brian, you use the German bands a lot, don't you, the hands? You know, because I used to go, well, I don't know, you don't. Go on, the hands going like the clappers. So it was super. And Ted Rogers, loved Ted. Great guy, Ted. Great comic as well. because he said, I suddenly got a phone call, he said, and this voice said, "Hello there," he said, "it's Bing here." And it was Bing Crosby, and he said, "Give over, get off." He thought somebody gagging, one of us or something. And Bing wanted him for a show because he'd done one with several of the American stars who'd come over, and he was the comic on it, and he knew that he worked well, which Ted did. So, marvellous. And yet he made his name really in 3-2-1, didn't he? 3-2-1. Which was...
brilliant comic.
Yeah. We did 3-2-1 as the Four Chuckler Brothers, because we were the Four Chuckler Brothers when the name Chuckler... In fact, I travelled down in a car with them, with Barry and Paul. Jimmy was away on holiday. He likes his holidays, Jimmy goes abroad. Oh, he did. Not so much now, but he certainly did. And I travelled down in the car and we said, why don't we do a foursome, the Four Chuckler Brothers? We were thinking of them. What can we think? Smileys? No, Chuckle Brothers. Yeah, Chuckle Brothers. So we got that. And then we did it as the Four Chuckle Brothers for 3 big televisions, 3-2-1, The Good Old Days, and the Lenny and Jerry Show. I don't remember. Do you remember them, Lenny and Jerry Show? They did all right. So we did those 3, and then Panto was coming up, and we were on better money than the lads at the time. So they said, "Can we keep the name?" And we said, "Yeah, keep the name, Chuckle Brothers." So they did. And the rest is history, as you can tell. So wonderful.
There was never any sort of animosity, was there, with their success?
No. We were glad because they used it, didn't they? We toured with them for years, as you say. You yourself saw us with them, didn't you? Yeah.
You custard pied me.
Oh, yes. I do apologise.
That's okay.
But
I'll
Paul
let you off.
Paul would get anybody. Paul would have got anybody. He'd go out and, and get, and you thought, dear, oh dear.
Big lads as well, I've seen him get before.
Yes. I went to do one once because we used to go out, as you probably remember, at the interval, before the interval. We'd, "Oh, come on, and we'd go down front. And I went to a bloke to give me one, blah, 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 and he leapt up. He was going to hang one on me, and I went, "Give over, you brat." So he sat down, and some people said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, he did want me to splosh him. He was going to hang one on me." It was an old guy. I mean, you couldn't have lamped him one.
Yeah.
Not that you would, but it doesn't do good for the business, does it? Don't go in, you get thumped. You get pied and then thumped. So, but Paul's got away with it every time. Front row, he gets him. So, as you say, if you go again, he's got you. So if you go to, he's not completely up your way this year, but he's doing Panto with Craig Revel Horde. Oh, he's at Wickham, isn't he? Yes, Wickham's quite a way. It's just down here.
It's going to be tricky for him, though, isn't it? First time properly on the stage on his own.
Well, he wanted me to be the comic when the tour. He wanted me to go with him and do it. Would you come and? He didn't want to have to learn anything. He just wanted to be the straight man. And me, I'm the straight man in our act. I mean, and Jimmy couldn't do it because he's not well, of course. But, I thought, well, I don't really want to be learning all their gags and the part of, as the Baron, I've got to do stuff with Cinders and everybody. So I thought, no, forget that. But too much to learn at my time of life. Early days, you'd get a script, you say, yeah, that's fine. But now you think, oh, no.
What was life like then on tour with the Chuckles?
It was great. We used to have a camper van. Did I mention it? We had a camper van. We had Paul's son driving it. Well, we had lots of people driving it, different people driving it. At first, it was John that does all the script writing, the one from Liverpool, Birkenhead. John was our driver because he'd been writing scripts for the lads and everything, for Chucklevision. And he's a great guy, and we used to sleep in the van with him. And the lads were in the travel lodges. So then they made more money. So they moved up from the travel lodges to the Premier Inns. Jim and I went to the travel lodges, and he stayed in the van. Then they moved up to the big things, the top ones. And we went in the Premier Inns. Moved up a bit, then we moved slowly back down. Until eventually we're back where we started. We're back in the van. So, it's been a great life. We loved it, And travelling with the lads, as I say, but they used to take the mickey. You had to say, if you suddenly mentioned, do you know, we worked with the guy that used to, and one of them would say, Yes, I know what you mean. Didn't he work with, and then Jimmy would say, no, not him. It was one that was down in, he worked with that girl. Yeah, she was good. And you think, why did I start this? Because it just went on and on and on. You'd say, shut up, for crying out loud. I've remembered it now. And look at the thing. Yes, it was Kish and Valère. That was the actor I'm talking about, you know.
So you've worked with so many great soloists.
We have.
Is there anybody you've not worked with that you wish you had?
Well, yeah, of course, always in the business, someone you do. But we had the pleasure of working, it's still on YouTube, of working with Vera Lynn, who is still with us, and she's 101 plus, and she's 102, I think, now.
But what about people that you wanted to work with, but you never got the chance to?
Well, obviously. I mean, my favourite of all time was Donald O'Connor. I don't know if you know Donald O'Connor. Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh, which Jimmy and I do. And Donald, I went to see, because I was with Willie West and his Harmony Boys, a group, and we were in Birmingham at Berwick. Not Berwick, Berwick's up in Jordanland. No, it's the age. It's the age.
Or Scotland.
It's the age, yes.
You don't want to offend either of them.
It's not quite there, no. Yes, no, it was at Bearwood, the Windsor Theatre, Bearwood. And I saw Donald O'Connor come over to the Palladium, and I thought, I'd love to have seen it, but we're working. And I looked and I thought, that's not... The bill said Donald O'Connor in person. I thought, that's Birmingham, the Hippodrome Birmingham. And Bearwood is part of Birmingham. So I phoned up. And you had to be one of these phones, peculiar phone in those days. We were talking 1949. So I phoned up, and me and my mate, they said, yeah, come down, we'll let you go in. So I got there and ran up the side of into the thing and said, there's Donald on stage. And he said, I'm just going to sing a song. He said that there's a guy who's going to be a big star. He said, you won't have heard of him yet, Mario Lanza. And he went, be my love, for no one else can love this man. Did this thing, and then he tap routine, he ran up the wall and over backwards, Donald. We thought, marvellous, wonderful. Then you come out and you got to go back to digs in Bearwood, which was very nice. But yeah, so even with those, so he's the one, Donald O'Connor, the one. Fred Astaire, obviously, I loved Fred, big fan of Fred. Jim and I have always loved all those. And yeah, Jim and I have got several that we got to see, like Sammy Davis. We saw Sammy at the Palladium. But we felt a bit let down there because Sammy used to do a different act every time. So if you went on a night that you wanted tap dancing, which we tap danced to finish our act, always have, and we saw him and he suddenly put his thought, he's going to tap. And he did a small tap routine. But he's a brilliant tapper, and you can see him now on telly doing his tap, you know, on the things that he did over the years. Wonderful tap. But we, you know, we wanted to see that mainly because of being tappers. But we went and saw Liberace, Palladium, and he was in the box. Matey, Brucey was in the box up there. We worked, and we didn't work with Bruce. We took over at the Palladium when Bruce finished his stint there, the first one as the compere. And we got a phone call from this top director for television. Said, lads, he said, could you do me a favour? We said, anything for you, Francis. Francis says, he said, would you come and do the Palladium on Sunday? We thought, Palladium, we'd never done it then. We're talking 1961. So we'd love to. He said, because I'd like you to come on and do a tap routine with the new compere. So he said, can you guess who it is? So we said, oh, we're trying to think of who tap danced. We knew Bruce did, but it wasn't him. So we said, so we mentioned one name. He said, no. We said, Norman Vaughan? Yes, how did you get? Well, I said, we've worked with Norman. We know that he can tap dance. So Norman came up. We were doing Panto in Birmingham. Came up to Birmingham. We were with Ronnie Corbett there. We tap danced a routine on the stage. Went down, and on the night we went and did it, and it was live television, and we had to walk up to the stage doorkeeper, lovely guy, George, and we said, George, which way is the stage? No, we didn't say that. Norman came up and said, which way is the stage? And we said, Norman, we're just going on, come on with us. And the three of us walked through to the back of the Palladium, walked towards, and there's the Palladium didn't have footlights then, they had lights from the circle shining straight at us, and we walked out to this wonderful audience, packed, whoa, cheering and clapping because the new compass coming on. So we went to thank you, and da 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 da. The faster he'd drag and tapping away with Norman, then he'd go, oh, just a minute, keep going, lads, and walk to the side and was. Keep going, you fool, keep going. You. And we finished our routine, yeah, to whoa, applause. And we went off and Norman said, who was that? So he'd never mentioned who the hell we were. So Jim and I think, that's charming, yeah. So we get to the finale and Tommy Steele was top of the bill and he ran over and we were wanting, I don't know if you remember the palladium where they used to go around, da, 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 and they had the things that said Palladium, P.A. Had to cut it. Because of time. And we hated Tommy Steele for it. We thought, what? What's he done? We can't do it. So, man, I've never liked him, I must admit. He was all right, a good performer. But, so we never got that. And he hadn't mentioned us at all. And it was Jimmy James and he came on the bill as well, the Dallas Boys. So the following week when he came and he went, by the way, those two mates of mine, the Patton brothers, were with me last week doing that dance. So we got to mention the second week. But since then, we've done the Palladium Panto with Ronnie Corbett. And
what do you think it is about the Palladium that means so much to performers?
Well, everybody's been there. Who hasn't done the Palladium? Well, our brothers haven't. Sorry, lads. Hard lads. So they've done everything else. So, yes, Palladium, wonderful. And as I say, I stood in the doorway. You used to go out after doing the Panto, and there was always somebody there, big star, whatever. Peggy Mount came round backstage and said, oh, I wish I could tap dance, lads. And we thought, marvellous. Jimmy Edwards came round and said, well, lads, I wish I could tap dance. And he said, he always wanted to tap dance. I thought, Jimmy Edwards, what the hell's he wanting to tap dance for? But, yeah, wonderful.
It is a gorgeous theatre.
Oh,
it's something to be treasured. And it's great Panto's back as well. Then.
There's still our bill up there. I don't mean that we were billed big. I mean, we've got the bill here somewhere. But, you're still there. And Ronnie went back again with Ronnie Barker. And he said, I'd love to have you there, lads, but it would be unfair on Ronnie because two comics, you know what I mean? So, but we did meet him a few times. He came to see us because we did 4 Pantos in Bromley. And Ronnie just lived in Croydon, just up the road. So 3 of those were with him, and the 4th was supposed to be with him, which was the 3rd one. And he couldn't make it. He said, I'm not able to make it. I don't think it was that well. So it was a good bill. I think you saw it on the wall with Gloria Hunniford and Bonnie Langford and George. I forgot his name now, George. It's the age. Great bill. And Jim and I, and loved it. And we got a thing given from Gloria and who was it I said the 4th top? He was full bottom. He's playing Dame this year with Billy Pearce up in
Christopher Biggins.
Biggins, yes.
He'll be very offended you forgot Biggins.
I forgot him, yes. Don't, because I went up to him when we went to one of the do's in Blackpool and I went, Chris, great to see you. Oh, wonderful, I thought. He didn't remember who the hell it is, but he did, I think.
You can't exactly be forgotten about.
And Doddy, we did televisions with Doddy. And we did one where we were 2 dancing SS men. And we'd go, no, Heil! Yeah, 2 dancing SS men. And he did the thing in a bed. And he wanted 3 to go in, because he'd got a bed with Faith Brown. And he was lying in the bed. Oh, and she said, good night, darling. He said, good night, darling, and turned to the right. And Jimmy was there, good night, darling. Then me, good night, darling, good night. And they wanted another one. And they wanted some of the same size as Jimmy and I, because we were doing 3 dancing pigs, chauvinistic male pigs. So we got these heads on it. So we got our Paul in. Said, sorry, Baz, we can't use you, but Paul can go. And it was before they made a name at all. They hadn't done any stuff. And he did, and I bumped into Paul doing one of the things. And Doddy said, because at the time Paul was driving, not a taxi, but he was driving an ice cream van. He said, it's the ice cream driver. Franked. And he said, it's our bride that did that. But Doddy was lovely, great he was. He said, when I go in the West End, you'll have to come in with me. But we found out later he's asked every double act partner, Simmons Brothers, Even the Marx Brothers he probably asked. But lovely guy. They're all great. Gone. Most of them gone. We've seen them all off. As I say, Ted Rogers, loved Ted. And his son, we did Panto with him year before last. And he was great. That's Danny Rogers. A lovely guy. And very talented. Good man. Yeah. So we've had a super life. Loved it. And it's still there. You still get to meet people and, that sort of thing. And we'd always... I mean, as you know, Damien, my son, he's gone into our son, and he's brilliant, great, good lad. He's doing a double act, got a lot of our stuff, and of course, he can have whatever he likes of our act, But nowadays, a lot of the comedy is not what we call comedy. You're not doing gags. You're just talking to the audience, aren't they? They he walks up and down. Michael McIntyre, only a great comic, but walking up and down. He must do 10 miles a day, just walking up and down.
Who was it who used to do that? Somebody used to do that as well. Who was always on their feet? Michael Barrymore, I think.
Michael, yeah, we did. We were the comics at Clacton on Sea. Michael Barrymore was a redcoat, and he used to get at the donkey derby. He'd run and chase the donkey and try and leap on it and all that. We thought, he's good, this lad, yeah. But we didn't even know he was, helping out in those days. I'm saying it like that, just in case. And he had a girlfriend and everything, but there we are. Things do change. He had a wife, and she seemed to get him there, But, we met him again. We were at the Palladium doing the Panto, and Jimmy bumped into him in the street, and we said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm working at Harrods," I think it was. He was working at Harrods at the time. But keeping up the business, of course, and since then he's made it big. So
it must be nice, though, seeing people start
it is.
From young.
It's lovely, yes.
Any particulars you'd like to take under your wing?
What now?
No, back then. Who have you sort of nurtured, would you say, or helped out in the business over the
Well,
years?
we've helped a lot over the years of, if we've done Panto with us, we've said, good luck. In fact, you can have a look in a bit at the book, my book of, that's it, yes. There's people who we've done everything with, and that was presented by my son and his wife, and it's all write-ups from different people who we've worked with who have been, part of our thing. Vicky Michelle, she was lovely, Vicky, and we saw her at Barry's funeral because Barry passed away, and we saw her there, Vicky, and she remembered sort of she had to because we were the comics as well at Llandudno.
Because I'm looking for a book at the moment, just for the listener. It's a big black book, and it's got beautiful letters written from Ronnie Corbett, signed Ronnie Corbett, Ted Robbins, Gary Wilmot.
Yes, just
Gloria
one or two of them.
Just a few.
Yes, one or
Irving
two.
Francis, Bobby Nutt, late great Bobby Nutt as well.
Yes,
Bonnie
it was lovely,
Lane.
Bobby. He wanted to do. He said, "Would you do every Panto with
David
me?"
McNeil, Dougie Chapman,
Dougie, yes.
Christopher Biggins. He hasn't forgotten you.
No.
It's
Well, they
Lisa
got it.
Riley,
But Damien and Jade, his wife, they got all these people to write something. There's some lovely stuff in there that they've said, which is
Wonderful.
just
Bobby
lovely.
Crush.
Really is smashing.
Yeah, Vicky Michelle, Barbara Windsor,
Yeah, Barbara.
who's not well either.
No, we met her at Ronnie's funeral. She was with her husband, and we said, "Can we have a quick word?" She was chatting to somebody. Can we? She went, "Lads!" and threw her arms around us, which was marvellous. Because she was great. Great, she was.
But poor Ronnie, when he left us, that was unexpected as well.
Yes,
wasn't
it was. And I don't know exactly what, sadly, went wrong with him, but because, we were with him at Bromley when we had, it was Ronnie Corbett and Jimmy and I, and the guy that was in one of the LOLO guys, Donald Hale, forgot his name, it's on the wall somewhere. Shows how the mighty have fallen. It's the age. Donald Hewlett. Donald Hewlett. And Donald was lovely, but he was doing a bit with Ronnie. Kept forgetting it. Didn't remember the word. Ronnie said, Donald, how can I get laughs if I don't get the feed line? So he had to have it written in huge letters in the pit, so he could say it right. And at the end of the run, Ronnie said, I was going to keep this for next year. I'm not going to do Panto now. He's thrown me. I started forgetting my words. Oh. And we did a thing called Lost Empire as a television. We used to do extra work. And they got us on it. And it was Laurence Olivier on there. And he was sat in front of us, and somebody said, "Good morning, Lord Olivier." He said, "Good morning." And we said, "Good morning, good morning." And he said, "I can't turn my head round." He further swore. And we thought, wonderful. And I mean, he was a really old man then, in his 80s. He forgot his words. His letters were that big. I'm showing you this thing which is about Ronnie Corbett's size, and that's what his letters were. So, you know, we've worked with some greats. The main person we met, the biggest name we met, we were doing a television with Alma Cogan. We'd done one before, Joan Regan show, Be My Guest. And she invited, Alma said, "Would you come and be on mine?" So we went and did it. And we were standing there, and at the time she was going out with a film star. In fact, probably the biggest film star, really, any time. And we turned to our right, and standing next to us was Cary Grant. Wonderful. And then he came in the following year to see us, not just to see us, but to see the Panto, which was Ronnie Corbett, Clodagh Rogers, John Inman, Barry Howard, Jimmy and I. And he was in the audience with his mum. He was in his late 70s and she was in her 90s. And they were out front and you could see him laughing. And then we had Oliver Reed came in Dublin. And Oliver, he was a great guy. But he came backstage and he, "Lads, have a drink." Jimmy never drank anything. He'd never had a drink. So I said, "Yes, I'll have a shandy or whatever." Yeah, and he got us a drink. And then they said later he stayed there and he was with his new girlfriend sort of thing. And he was saying, "See who can spit the farthest." And we thought, we didn't stay for that. We thought, no, I don't think I'm bothered about that. But a lovely guy, chatting away. We said, "How did you get on with that girl?" Who's because he had a thing where he was on an island. I don't know if you've seen it, where he was on an island. Yeah. And she was he said, "Oh, she was horrible. She wouldn't speak." Whether he was trying to chat her up, I don't know. I doubt it, but he might have been. But he didn't like her. She then went to America and she did all right over there. But we've met some wonderful people. I mean, most pros are great. We've only had a couple that we didn't like. But it didn't happen very often.
Would that spoil a Panto run for you, though, when that happened? Or
yes. Well, the Panto we did a Panto with lovely Barbara Windsor, lovely Jimmy Cricket, lovely Billy Dainty, lovely Jack Haig. Great Panto. But we got there, and there's 6 dressing rooms downstairs. 5 of them were there. No, yeah, 5 of them. That's that 5 lots there. And the company manager, who was a prat, wanted the other room, had the other room. So we were upstairs, so Jim and I, up and down the apples. So we weren't really wild about that. And then the director was a prat who I never liked. Very clever, good, but never liked. And he said, "Boys, you know, I like it like you did you with Palladium, blah, blah, blah." And then he cut our act at one stage. I thought, "What's this?" So Billy Dainty said, "Well, come on, lads, you want," which was fine. But he cut and we went down to go on, and he technically, and we thought, "What's this?" And this twat of a bloke. Sorry about that.
You're all right. You're allowed. It's the age.
Yes. Sorry about that. I don't know what one is. I've forgotten. So, the thing. So this bloke. That sounds better. He said, "Well, it's not in. We thought, dear, oh dear. So we never liked it, never got on with it. And the bloke, every time I walked past this director, he'd say, "Are you still not?" I said, "Yes." And I walked past him, ignored him. He's gone now, so I can be all right with him now. Yeah. Is this going out to the public with that? You'll cut.
We might.
Well,
Just,
you got. He
we
said,
might put a little.
Yes, well, it's not bad, is it? This day and age, people wouldn't know. If I called it the original name, that might be a bit naughty. But he was one of those. Yes.
We'll be fine.
Yes,
we'll be
yes,
fine.
yes.
People, that's the thing with this, because it's not going on the radio.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter about
No,
the odd,
quite right,
the odd
quite
little
right.
naughty word. We might have to put little red square on
Oh,
this
right.
one, though. We might,
A red
depending
square.
on how many more expletives
Isn't that where the
come
Russians
out.
are, the Red Square? That tells you. Isn't it? Might have been. So, yes. So it's been marvellous. And as I say, Ronnie, lovely. Janet Brown was lovely. She broke her arm, ran in the back of a police car while we were rehearsing. Ran in the back of a police car. I said, how did you do that? I don't know, she said. So she ended up, and the police in just a moment, blowing to this bay. So there we are. So Jimmy started before me, but if you're going to chat to Jim, then you'll find out. He started in straight after the war, Jim. Straight after. And Jammy Jim, he then went in the RAF, did his national service, couldn't drive, but became an MT driver, put down for abroad, and went to Ceylon, Sri Lanka. Had a wonderful time, entertaining on the boat over there, driving. I went in 2.5 years later. RAF, yes, fine, yes. Right, I'd want to be, you got 5 choices. What would you like? Would you? I said, well, an MT driver. Oh, well, you have to sign on for 7 years. But, pardon? I said, no, I'm doing a double act with my brother in 2 years' time. I'm not doing that. So, all right, yes. Well, here's the other 5 choices. So I looked at all the cushy things. Things like MT, no, something. Anyway, absolute rubbish, loads of things. My 5th choice of the 5, cook. Became a cook, which has been very handy. But I went and did my national service, went to Padgate, and you did it there, the square bashing, shooting guns and God knows what, down to my course. And I did my course, you had to do about a 7-course meal, and I burnt slightly the bottom of my pie, and I thought, oh, I hope they don't eat some of the pie, I'd have in trouble. But they didn't, so I was fine. So I got past the course and posted up to Middleton St George, which is up near Darlington. Dad was doing a show there with Bobby Thompson, and as a straight man in the act. And I took out one of the girls in the show, loving it, everything. So marvellous. Jamming it. Up there in Darlington. And they were there for 6 months. So I had a girlfriend in the show, and that was fine. It never lasted, but it was all right for a while, you know.
What was your dad's act like?
Dad was a comic who whistled. He was siffluer, as they called it. Sounds rather rude nowadays. Have you got siffluer? No, he's a singer. Siffluer. And did soft shoe dance. Dad, you know, she's my lady love. That sort of thing. Amazing. So he was, as I say, born in Harrington Burn, which is sort of up in Geordieland, and Houghton Spring. So he was from there. Went down the mines for one day because his dad had been a miner. Went down and came up in tears. He'd ruined all his nails and things. And he was a very fast runner, Dad. So he used to go in races for money. Not him for the money. People put him in races. And he said if they wanted me to lose, they would put weights in me sandals or whatever, not sandals, slippers or whatever he was running in, his sand shoes. So you put weights in. That's back in those days. And eventually he bought a dog. We had a greyhound. We were only kids. Barry and Paul weren't even alive then, I don't think. We got a greyhound, and it used to look round, called Billy, and it'd look round the road and say, come on then, when it'd run in and lie by the mat. And it won the races, but Dad used to say about the race, the greyhounds, he used to say, if we want it to win, we don't feed it. But if we want it to lose, we feed it a big meal. I thought, so you don't know what you're backing, do you? That was a long time ago.
I'm sure things haven't changed much.
Oh, I'm sure they are, yes. So watch out. If one looks fat of one of the greyhounds, don't back it. Because it's had a good meal. I'm not chasing that. I don't need to eat that.
So when you were doing Panto, but during the daytimes and things, what were you up to? Did you
How dare you?
Any good tales to tell with your fellow castmates?
Well, yes, we'd all, wherever we were, we used to sort of do things. I mean, you know Bobby Bennett? Bobby Bennett. Yeah, Bobby. He was over. He came over and we did played some crazy golf and stuff over in Rill when we were doing summer season in Rill, and we went to what was the thing we went to see? We were doing Panto with Ronnie Cord at Birmingham, and we went to see the show that was on Freddie Davis, Parrotface Davis, Bernard Bresslaw, lots of lovely people. And we were waiting to pass in, and Bob Monkhouse was in with his then secretary, who became his wife later. So they went in up in the circle. So Freddie, not Freddie Davis, but Freddie the Mad, what's his name? Freddie
Starr.
Freddie Starr. Freddie was just made his name on the Palladium, on the Royal Command. Come on, lads, we're going in. So we said, right, because we knew Freddie. He said, come on then, right, we're going. So we go and sat there. He said, just a minute. Bob's up there in the circle. Come on, we'll go. So you went, can we go in this? Yes, that box next to Bob had a box. So we went in the box. So they're doing things, and Billy Dainty gets people throwing things and knocking them out into the audience. So he managed to get one. And when the fairy came on, Freddie starts going, boo, and throwing things. We said, you're not supposed to throw it. Yeah. And Monkhouse is going, going down in his seat thinking, oh, dear. And he's cheering the baddie and throwing things at the goodie, you know. So he was great. I mean, nutty as a crackers. Even in those days, he was crackers. But, yeah, it was nice to meet up with pros at things, as you say, on the side when you're not doing that. And we've done that over the years with so many, you know. Great mates. Lost a lot of them, as you say, of the big names. But still able to do it. I mean, Jim and I did it, as I say. We were at
how many is it in total then?
Well, Jimmy started in 45. I started in 49. And I did 3 pantos. Jimmy first run on, he did 3 pantos and then came out and did another 2 before I was able to join him. And it was, you know, my first panto was with a great old comedian who was a dame, and he had people come round like Claude Hulbert and people like that came round and were in the saw him. I thought, crikey, look who was in the audience, you know. And then we had stars like, I mean, Max Wall. He was in the 3rd panto I did, and that was at Swansea, Empire Swansea, and he got me tap dancing with him because he could, good walloper he was. He wasn't doing his gump thing in those days, you know, with the but he was a good tapper. Good tap dancer. So I did a routine with him. Me and my mate who was in the show with us, he could tap dance as well. So I danced with Max Wall. But we didn't have to gump. We did sort of, what you can do in tap routine is dum, dum, tap, tap, tap. While he went, and then we dum, bum, 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 wonderful. Because you could hear this sound of 4 of us at the back and him tapping away. So wonderful, Max. And he was doing a radio thing at the time where he used to go on and do his songs with the guitar, because he played guitar, you know. He used to sing these songs, Max. And he was great. So Max Wall. And then we had the King died, so we got a day off, which, as one would, day off. Before Liz took over, and she's been there ever since. So there we are.
Ever met her?
No, we haven't. I would love to have, because we were hoping to do a Royal Commando or something, but no, we haven't done one. I'd like to, but I think it's a bit past it now. I think we've had it.
You never know. She might have been in to see one of your pantos.
She could have. She probably has when they played it.
Snuck out.
Well, we had some royalty come in the box while we were there with Ronnie Corbett and all that, Bill. So we had some royalty come in and all the names coming outside chatting. So, I mean, it was marvellous. And Ronnie used to go out a different door, so he didn't have to sign all the autographs. But he has over the years, he's signed loads of them, you know. And a lovely guy, loved him.
Yeah, how many years has he been gone now?
Ronnie's, well, we went to his Requiem or whatever it was, as I say, and we were sat there. It was good because we were sat there and they said, you can come here and sit a bit nearer. So we got up, Jimmy and I and our wives, and walked round the corner, and Bruce's wife, you know, Bruce Forsyth's wife? Wilhelmina.
Yeah.
She was sat there, and this agent, this director, television director, Ken, who had done it before, and this woman over there went, the Patton brothers, which was wonderful because she went, was it, you know, so it was marvellous, and he said, oh, wonderful to see you. So we thought, good lad, great to see you and all that. So we were shown, and we didn't get to chat at the time to Sophie. She'd done Pantos with us, Ronnie's, his wife, you know. No, his wife, his daughter, sorry. She'd done Panto with us, and we'd worked with Ronnie's wife, Anne Hart, when she was with the Crazy Gang. And she'd come down and done Butlins when we did Sundays. We used to travel. And she was the comedy woman. This was when she was not married to Ronnie then. She was married to the other guy who was one of the singing group, of another singing group. And she was married to him. And she came down, and that was it. And she met Ronnie then, of course, when she got back. But it was Monsieur Eddie Gray, who was one of the Crazy Gang, and he used to come and do the stuff. And he was funny, because we were at Butlins, and a redcoat said, oh, yeah, wonderful. He said, now, he said, I want to be in Sotheby's. He said, look, would you like to see what I do? Stand at the side, and he said, I've got a gag you could do. Oh, Monsieur Edgar said, what's the joke? And he told this dreadful joke. Oh, he said, I'll use it. But stand at the side of the stage and I'll do it. And he went, and he said, oh, by the way, I've been given a joke. And he did it all wrong. And when he came off, we did 3 shows on this Sundays. This lad said, no, it's not that. It says, he said, I thought I'd got it wrong. He said, would you go and sit out in the pit by the band and I'll do it again. Went down and did it again and did it wrong again. He said, no, it's not. He said, this boy, give me it. And he did it 3 times to this guy. And I mean, it's happened before because he did it to Tommy Trinder. Because he said to Tommy, would you do this gag with me? He said, and he did this gag, and I've forgotten exactly what the gag was, but he did this gag, and the tagline, he cocked up when Tommy did, and he went, oh, have you really? And cocked him up. I got a roar from the audience because they knew. And Tommy went, you did that on purpose, didn't you? And went off. But it was a very funny man, it really was. And Tommy was good. We were on stage with Tommy when he'd gone, because he used to be wonderful with, if you shouted something to Tommy, he had a gag, one line straight back at you out in the audience, you know what I mean? So he then, by that time, had lost his hearing a lot, couldn't get the gags, and he fainted on stage. He was with us, and we had to hold him up, Jim and I. He was in the middle, and we were either side of him, hold him up. Whether it was through that, whether it threw him, I don't know. But loved Tommy, he was a good lad. Because it's like a gag, because we'd done this television with Terry Thomas, which was great. I had to go and get a pigeon out of a cage. This was live television. I had to go and get a pigeon out, and I went in and went like that, and of course pigeon went, so I did, it was wing, and he got out, and his wing was flapping. They said, oh, you've got to get all of it right. So on this night I thought, I'm in the crap here. Because he'd say, by the way, there's a thing just come in, a message from our correspondent in Russia. Go and get it. And I had to go and get this pigeon and bring it in, and he'd get the thing of it. So, I mean, it was live television, and you think, what is that? But he was nice. Terry Thomas was lovely. But there's so many big names that we'd worked with, luckily. More names than Barry and Paul worked with, because they were starring. And if you're starring, you're not working with the big boys. You know what I mean? You are the stars. So in a way, that was, we worked on better with that. We'd like to have made a name, obviously, We thought we had, because when we were at the Palladium, they used to do big Saturday night television live. So it was live, and they said, would you come on as compares, you and Jimmy? So we said, love to, yeah, marvellous. And Ronnie Colvert said, great, they want you to blah, blah. Came to, we had to do, they changed the Sunday to Saturday night, and we were in the Panto, so we couldn't do it. And they got somebody that made quite a big name, or we'd worked with, of course, Larry Grayson. So Larry made his name because we couldn't do it. And we'd worked with Larry, and of course, Gay. And so we went round to see him at, well, again, we were doing Birmingham. We went round and he said, see, Brian, what you've missed? I thought, eh? Did he think I was going to go with him then? You know, Larry. I thought, no, thank you, no. I couldn't stand the pain. No. But, but he was a great guy, Larry. He was great.
Did you ever tread the boards with him in Panto?
No. In fact, we didn't do anything with Larry, which was wrong. We've met him again since, you know. Great guy. But no, we never actually worked with Larry. We did, but when he was guest star on one of the Ronnie Corbett, All This and Ronnie Corbett too, we did every one of those. Well, most of them in the early days with him, doing bits. And he was a guest star on it, but he wasn't there. He'd done it before, obviously recorded it. So we didn't get to. But yeah, there's not many people we haven't worked with, as you can tell from a lot of these bills. But
you can't see the wallpaper.
No, you can't. No, there is some there, I believe, underneath it. But things like the Jolson Minstrel Show, you see, you can't do it now, which is ludicrous, really. We did the Jolson Review in Australia, and it was supposed to be Di Francis. And Di said, oh, no, I don't want to go all that way. This was in his later days. So they got Les Want to do it, because we said, Les has done it, you know. So Les came out with us, and it was us two and a guy called Bobby Dennis, who was a mate of ours, a good comic who'd worked over there a lot. But we got there, and when we did the Jolson Review over here with Di Francis and George Chisholm, George was a guest, we blacked up for the first half. We were the interlocutors saying, see there, this interlocutor, yeah, what are you doing? We're telling gags to one another, which is great. And then we wiped off and did our own act in the second half as the Patton Brothers. When we did two shows, we had to black up again. So twice, you black up, off with it, black up again. So we thought, no, dear. So we got out to Australia, what I'm going round to is, we get there and they said, you the same thing, black up. We said, yeah, if we must. They gave us our costumes and they were cut down to here, right down here. We said, if you think we're blacking our chests up, forget it. So they said, oh, well, stay as you are. So we said, we'll be tanned because we liked our sunshine, especially Jim. So we didn't black up. But he had to. Les Want.
Different times, though, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Well, nowadays, you know, it wasn't an insult. It's ludicrous. It really has gone stupid. We had the black guys dancing with the white girls, which you'd have thought, that's wrong, we can't have that. But they weren't black guys. Lenny Henry was in it. And he came up to me and said, great, I'm loving this. And he loved it. And his mum used to sit in the front, woohoo, loving it. Now it's all wrong, that's all wrong. You know. I thought, well, you weren't all wrong in those days. You were the guest star, or one of the guest stars, and loving it. It was Don McLean was the comic in it, and then Lenny Henry doing his act. Loved it. Unbelievable. And yet now, of course, oh, disgusting. It's different ages. But, of course, as you say, everything's changed. Jim and I, when we first worked, we used to be unable to put makeup on a Sunday, several places, like Morecambe. Can't wear makeup. And at Morecambe also, at the Winter Gardens, you can't do cross-patter. We said, we're comics. Yeah, but you'd have to say a gag. So I did a gag, Jim gag, like that. Couldn't do cross-patter.
Why was that?
You tell me. No makeup and can't do cross-patter. Because the different laws for different places you were at. And we did Minehead with Touring Review. I got there and they said, and we were tap dancers. As part of the act, we're comics and tap dancers. And they said, you can't wear tap shoes. I said, what? On a Sunday, you can't wear tap shoes. So we couldn't wear our tap shoes. They said, we'll dance in ordinary shoes, pumps. No sound of tap coming out. Unbelievable. For some reason, no tap dancing on a Sunday. So you had all these stupid things, you know. And you weren't supposed to wear makeup out, of course, which, they would think you were gay, I suppose, in those days, if you were wearing makeup out in the streets. But we did have a guy come round at Camberwell Palace when we were there, which is London. Oh, so camp. No, boys. And he said, I'll get on the bus with you. So we're on the bus and sort of almost carrying down the seats. Oh, boys. Oh, Franklin Great. Oh, he loved you, didn't he, Jimmy? And we thought, loved you. He loved it as an act sort of thing. And so we thought, oh, dear, oh, dear. And we had a woman come round and say, by the way, could I make any suits for you? Because I make them for my sons. We said, who are they? Oh, Mike and Bernie. Oh, Mike and Bernie went. They weren't a big name. And in those days, it started, Mike was the comic, Bernie was the straight man. And then they thought, well, he's funny, he looks funny. And so they swapped it. Yeah.
With all the, yeah.
So, dear, oh, dear.
What about different audiences? Have you ever had...
Well, yes.
North, south,
you
divide?
work up. We've done over the years clubs as well. We didn't at first. We just staged. We had 8 weeks out, because between summer and Panto, summer did televisions. But we thought, we're not doing clubs. No, it's beneath us. I think you thought. So then we started doing clubs, and Geordieland were the hardest. You know, people were. In fact, Barry and Paul were paid off at a club in Sunderland. Jim and I were there a week after, and we got away with it because we didn't just do comedy. We did, because Paul had said, we've dropped the dancing, we just do the comedy. We got paid off in Scotland as well. Sorry, Paul, if you're listening to this.
And sorry for the people in Sunderland.
Well, yes, people in Sunderland.
Strange bunch.
You're very hard, very hard. Dad was from Henley Hole, so...
The men are as well, aren't they?
Yes. Dad was a Sunderland fan. He loved Sunderland, yeah. So he wouldn't be happy now. They're in the 3rd division, which is ludicrous. He'd be turning in his grave without Dad. Trouble is, he was cremated, so he won't be a grave. In fact, he's between Mum's legs in a canister. She was buried in the
Really?
Yes. The little love. She wanted that. So in his coffin. So anybody suddenly finally opened the coffin and go, good heavens, what's this? So, but yes, I mean, we've loved the business, Jim and I must admit, and we've had such great mates and people we've met over the years, and still are. We're not meeting them so much now, but we'd be Panto up in Sunderland, and it was 2 great people as well as Ken Morley. Ken was in it, but top of it was Darren Day and his lovely wife Steph. Lovely people, they really are. And they, we went and saw them again when we went year before last to Blackpool to the get-together. You didn't go to that, I don't think, or if you did, we never met you.
No.
It was one of the... Have you not been to one of the summer do's?
No, I've never been to one of the summer do's. Waiting for my invite.
Well, yes, but
whoever's listening.
We're not able to, sorry.
No, sorry.
We can't do it for you now.
Can't do a +1.
The name's not big enough, no. If it's a bigger name, we could... Paul could probably get you in. So, yes, it's been well worth it, and still not finished. I mean, I am probably finished now.
Can you still tap, though?
Yes. I'll do a quick wallop if you like in the hall. You'll be able to hear it.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to record that at the very end.
Good lad, yes.
And we'll finish up with you tapping.
What a way to finish. Yes, I've got slippers on at the moment, but
and a carpeted floor.
And I won't put tap shoes on, but I'll put some shoes on that go. I'm not tapping on the carpet. Yes, yeah. It's all carpeted apart from the hallway. So
look forward to that, listener, at the very
my
end.
My swan song, yes.
Oh, don't say it as a swan song.
Well, I mean, for now, I'm into this
for the podcast. Yeah,
for this, yes.
Do you think though you could be coaxed out of retirement?
Well, I nearly was, as I say. So I don't think my wife would be very happy if I was.
If it was some local to hear.
I don't know. Yeah, that would be nice. I have travelled from it when we did Bromley, 4 years. And I travelled there and back 40 miles each way every day, apart from Sundays, of course. Travelled every day. And we did summer season down in, as the comics, down in Eastbourne. And I travelled every day from here then. That was marvellous. No, I didn't tell a lie. Because for the summer 6 weeks, when the wife was out and the kids, Rachel, we took a caravan. So I earned no money those 6 weeks right in the height of the summer. I mean, the money we were getting was I had to pay for the caravan, but we loved it. It was gave her a nice holiday and the kids. So that was marvellous.
Would you ever class it as work?
Well, no, but I'm trying to think where it would be work. I mean, Sunderland clubs, yeah. No,
But have there ever been times it's been a chore where you've actually gone, oh, God, do I have to go on?
No, I mean, that thing we did in Nottingham, that was one of the seasons in Nottingham. We did great ones with Ronnie Corbett and with Leslie Crowther. They were great. But, you know, there's none really a chore. I mean, we did summer seasons when we were the compares. Jimmy was at Haggerston Castle and I was 6 miles down the road at Berwick-on-Tweed. And I was the compare there. Loved it. We did 3 and then went away to other places for them and then back for another 2. And that was not a chore, but we had some of my staff, the guys that I was in charge of doing sort of things, piddled about at night at times, making a noise. And I went out and said, do you mind not doing that? Well, I said, no, I said, people are on holiday here and you're entertaining them. They don't want to hear you jumping and shouting and screaming and running about in the middle of the night. So, you know, that was, you had to tell them because they didn't sort of get it into their mind that they're entertaining. And as entertainers, you're there to entertain. You're not there to have big fun, you know. By all means, have fun, but don't go over the top, which they were doing. And as I say, one was said, well, I said, they can sack you, you know. I said, they could sack me, they could sack anybody, because they'll get somebody else in. You're not out and out, it's my job. I said, you may be very good, but they tell anybody, they can sack anybody. So it seemed to, I didn't get much trouble after that. But the bloke said, when Jimmy was at the other place, they said, would you mind having a word with Jimmy? Because he's laying round the pool with his wife during the day when he should be really, as the entertainment manager, making sure everything's all right. I said, well, yeah. So I had to say to Jim, oh, I do. I said, well, I'm sure you do.
Get a notebook out and just, I'm busy.
And I was their guy who used to teach them what to do as compares for 1 year, our last year that we were there. I used to tell them how to, if you compare, you mustn't do this, you must do that, and all that. So it was good. And we worked with people like Wee Willie Harris. Did you remember Wee Willie Harris? He was a character, he really was. And he came and did things. And he did a season at Skegness at the theatre there. And he had with him Jimmy James and the gang, who we'd worked with that played him. And Jimmy James was great. And he said, I got my mates in, the Patty brothers. I thought, the Patty brothers. Thank you, yes, that would be very nice.
Where did your dad get the name Patton from, anyway?
Well, Dad went on stage as Jimmy Elliott. His name was Jimmy Elliott, same as brother Jimmy. Jimmy Elliott. And then onto the scene came the musical Elliots, G.H. Elliott, somebody else, another guy who did impressions of birds and things, another Jimmy Elliott. So Dad changed his name and he thought, well, I want something else. And he loved a fella called Eugene Stratton. So Dad was James Patton Elliott. That was, his middle name was Patton. And so he became Gene from the Gene Patton. And that's where the Patton came from. And Jimmy's name is James Nightingale Patton Elliott. The Nightingale is from a song Dad used to do, Nightingale. So it used to take Jim 20 minutes to sign his name, James Patton, James Nightingale Patton Elliott. So I said, Jim, give over. James NP, you know. So mine, they gave me another comedy one, was Mum's dad's name, Brian Palfrey Elliott.
Palfrey.
Palfrey, Palfrey. And then I found out Palfrey was a lady's horse, and I thought, oh, fair. So Palfrey. And then after that, it was Sheila Francis Elliott, and then Colin Daniel Elliott, because one of my dad's family, Daniel. And then it dropped down to Barry David Elliott and Paul Harmon Elliott. So Paul got the Harmon as well. So, they used to like 2 or 3 names. That was it. But
Thank you for clearing that up, because I've always wondered.
Wondered why, yes.
Yeah.
So the Patton brothers, yeah. So I was always Patton, Brian Patton, when I was with Billy West Harmony Boys. Dad got me in with that because I'd gone with Britain's Dead End Kids, which was what Jimmy was in. And it was the last week that they appeared, Britain's Dead End Kids. And I went on, we were at Loughborough, the Theatre Royal Loughborough in Leicestershire. And we had this room about a little bit bigger than this room we're in. And it had beds all over the place. And the lads, whether they got me at it or not, they said, oh, Brian, by the way, you're sleeping in that bed there. We said, oh, no. I said, fine. Yes, because in the middle of the night, at 12 o'clock, they said, a ghost nurse, comes out and stands looking down at that bed. I said, what? If you think I'll sleep. Luckily, I did get to sleep before 12, and I think they were lying anyway, But we had a guy called Bobby Wildman, I think, and he used to whistle. And we'd be all trying to sleep. We thought, what is that? Because, as I say, Dad was a whistler, and a lovely whistler, but this guy, not really. He wasn't really a good whistler. But that was my first thing. And got to the thing, my band call, and I'd learnt this routine, because it had been a fellow called Ronnie Dukes. Do you remember Ronnie Dukes? Used to be from Rotherham, yep. Ronnie Dukes and Ricky Lee. And Ronnie had finished the show, so they got me to finish the show with the fleet's in port again, back home. And he'd done, hey there, mister, you never mind your city, because the fleet's in. So I got this thing, and she'd taught me a routine, my dancing teacher. So I got to do it, did band call, and I'd finished my full routine after the first chorus. There was another chorus. So I was in tears. Not much of a pro, tears, What can I do? So Jim and the lad said, well, just do the same thing again for the second chorus. Should I? Yeah. So I used to, in the toilet, every day before the performance, with the runs, because it does affect you like that. But then I loved it once I got on there, loved it. And at the end of that show, it finished. Whether they thought it was me that finished it for them, I don't know. But then I was at home, and my dad said, I know an act. I've worked with an act called Billy West and his Harmony Boys, so I'll get you in with Billy West. So he got me in with Billy West. Phoned him, and Bill said, oh, yeah, Brian tap dances as well, and he could sing, fell, and get harmonies. So it was great. So I got in with Billy West, and I stayed with him. And then I was offered to take over from Roy Castle, who was in Happiness Ahead. It was his as a young man. And I was asked, I used to go over and I did an audition at Attercliffe Palace, where one half of the stage was wood and the other was all rotted, so you had to really tap dance at one side. So I did an audition for Norman Teal, who was the man who sort of looked after it, and his wife. And I did an audition. Oh, marvellous. We'd like you to come and join it, because Roy's leaving. So I thought, now look, I've got about 5 months before I'm going in the RAF anyway. So I said, look, it's not worth it, because I'm going to have to leave in 5 months. So I never did it, but it would have been good. He was the star. He was great. Star of the show. Roy was brilliant. Wore glasses all the time. Couldn't see a thing once he took them off. But in later years, of course, he had the contact lenses. But great performer, Roy. Especially as a boy, he was better than he became, because he was great, when he grown up. And we did 2 tellies with him. And then we did City Varieties Leeds. And he was top of the bill. It was a television. And he said, lads, will you come on and do a quick wallop with me? So we said, yeah, what do you want me to do? He said, well, just come on and we'll do. We went, hey, while he was on that front bit,
Yeah.
And we both went, da 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 da, and off. Whoa, they loved it, of course. So we did about 3 times while he's doing that. Just did this routine.
Did you ever get to see Wilson, Keppel and Betty?
Yeah, I worked with them. Did Panto with them. The first Panto was at Dudley Hippodrome in the Midlands. Top of the bill was Dougie Wakefield and his gang. Second top, Reg Varney. Wilson, Keppel and Betty. A wonderful act, whom Barry and Paul have done the act since, and we have, where we do it with Ronnie Corbett, and they mentioned it, where we go up and one finger, and he's on a wire. And it was this double act. What was their name? Bloody hell. Not Little and Large. They were very funny because he was Jock and Fancy, which is like the police thing. Yeah. And he used to say, do an act, do a trick and nothing, and he'd say, is the curtain up? You know, that sort of thing, that sort of gag, you know. And he'd go, one finger, half tonight, half tomorrow night, and all that. And we did that with Ronnie, and you can still see that on, if you put it on the good old days or on YouTube. And so it was all that sort of stuff, you know. I worked with them, and they were brilliant. And I've got a signature somewhere, maybe on the wall here somewhere, by him. And he used to do it in wonderful sort of, you know, they were that kind of a real old act with the and it was, we did, in fact, we've done that on telly with Harry Seacombe. You can still see it on one of the things I've got somewhere. Sometime I'll show you. I don't mean now, but and we did it with Harry. And he said, my wife said that was the best thing in the show, and it was his show, you know. If I can ever help you, lads, I thought no. And we've chatted to him since, of course. At the Golden Garter in Blackpool, we went backstage to see him chat, and he said, I don't do so much comedy now because I've been doing this, you know, the singing and all that on the Sunday.
Yeah, the highway.
Highway, yes, yeah. So he said, I do mainly that. So he came on and did all that rather than doing his and all the messing about.
You've been on the road so many hours looking at all of these posters.
Yeah, never at home.
Never at home. What about digs, though?
Digs, always been great. We had one when Jim and I did Hume Hippodrome in Manchester. And at the end of the week, this woman said, Jimmy and I've never had any posh people like you staying before. We thought, oh dear, the Patton brothers, posh people. A lovely old lass she was. But yeah, in fact, we had, in my early day, when I was with the Billy West Boys, we got to Salford, and we did the show in the show. And we had all in this one room, 6 lads, all staying kipping in this one room. And there was a French maid. I hope this is going out to some older people. French maid, and she serviced all the boys. And I'd gone out that day to meet a girlfriend in Stockport. So I missed out on it. I got back and they said, do you know what? And we said, no. And she had. And we had another guy who was a singer, good lad, Brian. And he had it off with a mate. Obviously going out to the adults with this girl. And he used something, as one does, and fell asleep and left the used something at the side of the bed. And his landlady came in and said, what have you been doing? You've been having it. So sacked the girl. So yeah, but I'll get off that subject because that's not a good thing. But some of these funny things that have happened, as I say, in the business. But marvellous when I look around the wall. And
what about landladies though?
I never touched one. How dare you? Landladies. I had one that fancied me. I must admit once. Hubby messed about or something, and she came on to me, and I thought, oh dear. Sorry, dear. No, I said, I'm happily married, whatever it was at the time. But that was at Norwich. And we did a few pantos there, which were very good.
What would be your advice then to young upcoming comedians? I mean, what do you even tell your son?
Well, Damien's great. I said to him, watch other comics. I don't mean to finish their gags, but I said, watch like we're doing pantomime, when he first did Panto with us, I said, watch others. You're not watching just what's good, you're watching what not to do. And he's done that over the years so often. I said, because, you know, you can look and think, what's that? I mean, Max Bygraves, I mean, we worked with Max, a good lad. But he, when we worked with Richard Hearn, he said, when he did the Palladium, he was top of the bill, and Max was second or third, top or fourth. He said, and I was doing one gag, and I suddenly heard the audience were laughing, and I wasn't doing it as a gag. And I looked round, and Max was messing about behind. I said, so never do that. If you're the comic, it's you want them watching. You don't want watching Charlie Farnsworth trying to be funny behind you. So I said, don't, what they call upstaging, don't upstage. And he's always been great with that sort of thing. Brilliant. He's never done that. He's taken that in, which is marvellous.
Do you think having the dancing as well has helped you forward?
Well, it's helped us television-wise. We did every television you could want doing our act. And very often we'd get to the place and they'd say, we mainly want the tap dance. So we'd get to do one gag, two gags. When we did the Palladium with Ronnie Corbett, he said, well, do a gag, lads. You must do a gag. So we did the slap in the face and a gag before we went into the wallop. And they loved it. I mean, the write-up said, when these are big stars in the future, which never happened, of course, because we'd been doing Butlins and they wanted us back at Butlins that following summer. Daniel LaRue wanted us to do the song with him at Blackpool. We can't, we've already signed to do Butlins. So it dropped us in it in a way, that. So, we missed out, but didn't miss out. Because, you know, if you've
made millions laugh.
Well, yes,
that's
and we've
the main thing.
Worked with them all. There's not many we didn't get to work with. As you say, Tommy Cooper, we didn't get to work with Tommy. It was very funny. Because he used to do gags. He'd sort of, say, I never saw your mouth, your lips move, like Eric and Ernie did. They used to do all that. And when we did this television, the Ross Conway show, and Eric and Ernie were on it, we said, great to work with them. And they said, keep it up, lads, the comedy. They said, great. Because they'd done pantomime at Birmingham the year before we did it. And we said, you know, how did you get on with Derek? So we said, well, Eric said, the thing was, he said, we did a gag, which didn't get much of a laugh, but we knew it got us off the mark, you know what I mean? Because you do a gag that you know gets a laugh. We do one, Jim and I. Sausage routine as well, but that wasn't that. And they said, and Derek said, but boys, he said, why do you do that, Joe? It doesn't get much of a laugh. And Eric said, we said, well, we like it. It gets us off the mark. It was that sort of thing. And it was always like that. And Ronnie Corbett didn't get on that well because Derek Solberg, who was great and put all the pantos at Birmingham, he used to like to see you do it. You know, come on, lads, get it. And Ronnie was doing his stuff and he wanted to get it slick. He said, I like to do it, but you want to see the bloody thing, he said. You want to see it. I need to do it, mind this bit, then the next bit, then do it like that, which is the best way to do it. So he said, in his book, Derek Solberg put, I don't think Ronnie Corbett thought I could direct. I thought, we get a nice mention in Ronnie's book, Jim and I, which is nice. Said very funny, which was nice. Which we should have told our Paul when he said, yeah, but we're funny. And I thought, that's a bit naughty to your brothers, which he did on telly. They said, your brother's comedians as well. Yes, but we're funny. I thought, give over. That is, you'd never say that, would you? You'd never say that. Especially when they nicked a lot of our stuff in the early days. But there we are.
Did you all get on well as brothers?
Yes, very
Growing
well.
up?
Yeah, Paul used to get a bit angry if he was losing at cards, when we used to play cards in the van. Yeah, he'd get, remember him to throw his things down, you think, he even had to go up bury him. We said, come on, this is, it's supposed to be a game. He wasn't going to play it once. He was, well, don't then, we'll play, the three of us. But, we got on very well, really. But I can remember Paul saying to me once, go on, you're on. I said, I'm not on yet. It's I'll follow this, give me a chance. But I used to do one gag that they laughed at when I used to come off. I used to do it and then go off. I used to do with a telly. Have you seen this? And I used to gag, and the audience roared. It was lovely. It was a bit naughty, but lovely for the kids. Straight over their heads, of course, as a lot of them did. But yes, we got on very well. I mean, all those years we worked with him. But it got a bit where you thought, what is this? I was a ghost in one of them. The Ghost of Christmas Past, talk like that, the Ghost of Christmas Past, and the Ghost of Christmas Present, and Ghost of Christmas Future, yes. And they used to sit on stage because they couldn't see me, of course, I was a ghost. They could, but they couldn't. You know, and they did the schoolroom scene and all that. You know, it's everything, all different things. I've been everything. Everything.
Any favourite routines in pantomime that you used to love doing?
Well, we love the ice cream gag, yes. Which, as you say, Jimmy Cricket, we did it with Jimmy. He's used it ever since. You know, said, I hope you don't mind, lad. Just what you said.
For our listeners who may not know the ice cream gag.
Ice cream gag? Well, go on and say, it's warm today. It's warm today.
Oh, it's warm today.
It's a bit warm. And I'd say, yes. Well, I'm cool now because I've just had an ice cream. Oh,
ice cream.
Ice cream. I'd love an ice cream. Well, why didn't you get one? Well, I haven't got any money. You don't need money. I can get you a free ice cream. Free ice cream? Yes. Well, you've got to do something for me. Do something for you? What? Well, you've got to sing me a song about ice cream while I go and fetch it. Oh, right. Well, I know an ice cream gag. And he goes, just one cornetto, give it to me. You must be joking. There's 50p. And whatever it was. And I'd say, no, not that one. Do you know the one... that goes ice cream. Yes, I know that. Well, sing that, and I'll go and get you some ice cream. So I tell you my ice cream. I like lots of ice cream. I don't like kiffers, I don't like ham. I don't like bread, and I don't like jam. I like it for my dinner. I like it for my tea. So if you've any ice cream, please give it to me. And the me got the straight in the face. The ice cream, and it's not real ice cream. It's made up. It's so whipped up. And if you got the stage hands doing it for you, sometimes they'd put stuff in that stung your eyes, so you didn't want it that. So Jim used to make it mainly. So then, oh dear, that was a bit strong. Well, sorry, you can get your own back. What do you mean? It's not windy. No, you can get your own back. It mustn't do anything into the wind. Yeah, look, she's coming along, whoever it was, or he's coming along. So we did it with everybody, every comic we did with Jimmy Cricket sort of thing. Get him to sing. I'll get him. Oh, Jim, and dash off and get ready. Say, do you like ice cream? Yeah. No, I love ice cream. He loves ice cream. I've got some for him. Get off. And then we did all the thing. And then, of course, ice cream gave it to me. And as he did that, move his arms back as he's singing it, Jimmy, or whoever it is, doing it, straight in the face. So Jim cops it again. He goes, no, I said, well, you shouldn't stand behind him. I couldn't stand in front of him. I know you couldn't. But go on, get off and get some more. Oh, well, then. And this time, now singing, it was a bit strong there. Would you do it a bit quicker this time? Oh, quicker, right. Ice cream, I got, oh! And Jimmy comes running on, trips and falls straight in the face again. He's falling on it. Oh, he's done it again. Slow him down. He's going to have a heart attack. I said, never mind, go and get some more. Why, you were a bit quick there. Yes, we went berserk. All of a gabble sort of to me. So, well, I'll go back to the old tempo, a bit more feeling. Yeah. And will I get the ice cream? Just a minute, I'll check. Will he get the ice cream, or will she, whoever is doing it? Yes. So he's going to get the plate full, and he come up, a bucket full, he come up. So ice cream gave it to me, and he bends down. Jimmy gives the ice cream to me, so I cop it. So at the end, the straight man gets it. Ice cream, all go off, the three of them singing.
Lovely.
So lovely routine.
Lovely routine.
And it's been used over the years by everybody. You've done it yourself, you've told me, yeah.
Yep.
Good man.
You've got to keep these things alive, though, haven't you?
Yes, of course you have.
But not forget the roots.
No. Well, as long as they don't. People usually say, learnt a lot from the lads. There we are. The lads. They always call you lads, don't they?
You are the lads.
Ronnie Corbett always says, the lads. And he says in that, when he's written up to me, he said, he calls us the lads. He said, I have always called you the boys. The boys are the lads. Which is it. So, yeah, wonderful.
Ever injured yourself during one of these sort of slosh
Well, Jimmy's
scenes?
fallen a few times, put his knee out and God knows what. But we used to do when you could use guns on stage, as the robbers. We used to do a thing. We didn't get injured with a gun, don't get me wrong. But it was, we'd do, first of all, say, right, we're going to have a fight. You've been messing about. What should we do? I'll tell you what, we'll do boxing, right? Boxing, yeah. So we do, to music, da 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 dam, and I go bump 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 bump, hit him in the face and underneath, as he's ducking, you know, and then da da, and then down down up down, da 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 da, bump, and I go hey, hey, and Jimmy kicked me up the bum. Do you mind? Right, forget that then. Not box. We'll do guns. Guns, oh yeah. Right, we stand back to back, walk 10 paces, fire, turn and fire. So we do the 10 pacer, but he follows me, so I'm back. We're walking back to get both together. Turn around and both go, oh, what are you doing? You don't follow me. You go one way, I go the other. So we go there, and I bang, and I shoot his, and he stands near the wings, and they pull his strict trousers off, and just stood there. Whoa, got a roar, of course. I did that. Same again, did it to me, and but this time I'd forgotten to put my strict trousers on. So stage hand say goes, whoa, and rips at my pants. So I'm nearly being dragged off stage. I said, give over. Got a roar from the audience. I came back on with pants hanging half down. Right. Okay. So then we did fencing. Da 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 dum, bing bing. Bing, bing, da da bing, da da da, and I'd go, ha ha, and he'd tickle me up the bum with the sword. So it was all that, and then eventually I'd shot him or something. I'd done something. He'd lie on the floor, and I'd get 2 blokes to come on and take him off on a stretcher. Come and get rid of him. And he'd come on with the stretcher, put him there, and of course, put him on the stretcher, lift it up, and the 2 poles either side come, they walk off and leave him lying there, still with it. Oh, come on, get off here. So that was our fight routine. You get roars, but in those days with the pistols, they had to pick them up. Now they wouldn't let you probably. They had to take them off us and put them in the safe, you know. So we had these real guns, real boof, real bang, you know. And of course, some in the audience, old people, oh, bang. But yeah, wonderful. And we did the little bit of heaven gag. You'll have seen that many times. We've done it. That was our gag. Where you could just, a little bit of heaven fell from out the sky one day, bump, and it comes and hits me on the head. I've got to get somebody. Oh, here comes Jim. Jim, come on. Oh, yeah, good voice, haven't you? Yeah, because you come on and sing, oh, da, 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 da. And the same thing, said, bump on there. Oh dear, we must get somebody. Who can we get? The dame. On comes the dame. Or Ronnie Corbick sort of thing, whoever it is. Whoever's doing the thing. Get him said, just a little bit of heaven fell from out the sky one day, and walk over there. And bump, it drops on Jimmy and I again. Oh, giggle. What are you walking over there for? Don't go over there. Oh, don't go over there. Right. A little bit. Walks that way. Oh, don't walk that way or that way. Stay where you are and you'll get it. Will I get it? Yes, all right. Just a little bit of heaven fell from out the sky, and it comes to there. Lower. Just a little bit of heaven fell. Lower. Right down low. No, higher, and then lift. Higher. Stop. But then, of course, the tag is just a little bit of heaven from out to go. And down comes the thing with the bottle of whiskey in it, you know, just to lower it down. So it always got roars, and they loved it, yeah. So, all magic stuff over the years. Still being used, and of course we've given this to my lovely lad Damien and Tom. So any of those they can use, you know.
What about the legendary £5 gag?
£5. Well, we did it. Well, you give it to yeah, we do that. Well, you can see that on Chucklevision.
Yes,
you see. Well, that's a lovely gag, of course. That is. So, have you got that £5? Yes. So it's that gag where you take the first one.
Where did that come from?
Well, it's a gag we've done over the years with loads of people, done it with everybody. And when you're doing it at the theatre, you use it with the guy in the pit, the MD.
Yeah. You
haven't got £5. Could you let me? Yes, I have £5. All right, yes. There's a £5, and I shall owe you £5. All right, yeah. Next one, come on. Oh, just a minute. Have you got the? Oh, I haven't. No, I've got £5. Here's £5. I'll still owe you £5. All right. Right the way around, then back to the same. By the way, here's the £5 that I owe. Oh, right, yeah. By the way, here's the £5. And then when she gives it back to the one we got the £5 from, and say, there we are. Now we're all square. No, which is a clever gag and funny. Yeah.
Really, really good. I'll put a link to the YouTube. Speaking of YouTube as well, when we came here, you were showing me bits and pieces on YouTube.
Yes.
Do you like that technology?
Wonderful.
It's so accessible now for everybody.
Well, yes, I do, yeah. Because you can, it means that comics from our day would have been able to nick your gear and use it, which is not very nice. Because we used to send our script in, and we sent our script in because you had to do it before you went on stage, never mind anywhere else. And we sent it in, and we ended up with, they said, oh, you can't do that. I can't remember exactly what the gag was. Jimmy will probably remember when you see him. But they said, you can't use that, you've got to use something else. So we used to not do it on a Monday night when the watch committee, you had a watch committee sit in front and write down, you'd see him sat there going, yeah. And afterwards you get a note saying, you cannot use that, you mustn't use it. So this gag, our boss said, don't do it on Mondays, just do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we did. So you can get away with it by doing it, because the watch committee came in on the Monday night and watched it, and that was it. And we did Collins' musical Islington, which you've seen the bill out there with me as Gary. Is it Gary? I'm trying to think, I just forgot. And Jimmy, not Brian and Jimmy. Oh, it's Graham. Is it? No. I'll have a look. Sorry, I'm getting up. I'm walking out of the room at the moment just to see. How many goes? Guy, of course it is. Before I got there, Guy and Jimmy Patton. And there, we had the bloke came down and said, he used to write the dots for people, the music, writes your music. One of the guys. He said, my pianist is the best in the country. I thought, well, give over. What's he doing at Collins Islington? But then afterwards, you thought, well, they used to do the televisions, playing the television, big orchestras, and then do a week at City Varieties or whatever. When they were needed, they'd step in and do it. So, when we did City Varieties Leeds, the organist used to have to get a bus to get home. This is the early days we're talking about. So he'd have to leave halfway through, and you think, what? Or he'd say, my drummer won't be here for the second thing, because... And you had to sort of carry on without if you were on. It was just accepted. I know. Unbelievable.
So it's come to that time where, Brian, I'd like you to choose, please, your dream panto. So It can be what production. You can either be in it or you can be in the audience.
I'd rather be in it.
You'd rather be in it?
Yes.
And it's...
Babes in the Wood.
Babes in the Wood.
Which nowadays, they don't call it that. For some unknown reason, I say unknown reason, it isn't unknown, I suppose, because of kids. Because it's Jimmy and I as two robbers taking two youngsters to the woods, which is not honest, you know what I mean, in this day and age. But we did it with two girls that were taller than us. It was like a gag. There's the two. We're taking the babes to the woods, and they could have sort of knocked us out, I think. That was up in Kirkcaldy. So, I think we'd rather like to be the robbers. Loved playing robbers.
And the cast can be...
Because it was comedy robbers. Well, because we loved working them. It would be nice if we could have Ronnie Corbett.
Alive or no longer
yes.
Us, yeah.
Ronnie Corbett, Leslie Crowther and John Inman. That would be nice. 3 of those. And, of course, our other... Who was the other one I mentioned? Can you remember? Oh, you've forgotten. My time of life, 84, you think it was. So it was Ted, Ronnie, and Leslie. Yes, Ronnie Corbett, Ted Rogers, Leslie Crowther. No, I don't know that bit. It'll be Ronnie first, then Leslie, then Ted. Ted was lovely. Loved Ted. He was a great comic and a great pal. And his son's doing very well now, as I've mentioned earlier. Those 3, yes. Clodagh Rogers was nice. He was lovely. And Barbara Windsor was lovely. So I'm going to have quite a cast here, aren't I? By the time I've finished. Quite a cast. I don't know. I wouldn't like to be paying out for this.
Well, you wouldn't have to pay for the walls, would you?
No.
And what venue?
London Palladium. Where else? Good heavens.
Gets that. Tick of the box again.
Isn't it need? It's almost insulting, you say. We did Panto at the City Varieties, as I say. And we got there, it was with Kenny Cantor. You probably know of Kenny. His dad was putting the panto on. He was a good comic, Terry Cantor. And we got there and we got through to the end of the first half of the show, and it was getting late. And Rotherham were playing a cup match at Mansfield, which we lost eventually 1-0, which wasn't very happy about. But he said, It's, you know what you're doing, lads, and everybody. We'll leave it there and just run through a bit in the morning before the show. So we did. And it went on all right, but dear, oh dear. It was Ken Barnes, Grand and Mars were two comics, and great cast. We ended up in a dressing room with about 5 or 6 others, all of us up there. And we were second top, but we're up the top, and we had a guy called John. I won't tell you his second name because we called him the Whirlybird, because he had something that was rather huge and used to whirl it round and round. Now, he's still doing very well, but not as in this business itself. He's very good, a lovely lad, John. So
Catch a draft off it. Yeah.
Yes, that may have to be cut as well. 'Cause I say it as it is, but no, I just said the Whirlybird. Could be anything, couldn't it?
Yes.
Could be his arm. It looked like it. But we've had some wonderful, wonderful times over the years. We really have, Jim and I.
Just to ask.
Yes.
The catchphrase.
Yes.
Of
get out of it.
Get out of it. Where does it come from?
Well, I used to just say it. That was all. But I used to do it in Panto. I've done it in Panto for years. Jim always did it. I'd come on and do it. Jim would say he hates kids. You know, set it up for me. He hates kids. If he sees any kids growing up, and I'd walk on and go, "Yeah, Jim, I take it. Kids, get out of it!" Yeah, and that was it. And it caught on. And you'd think they would hate me because I'm saying it, because they'd love shouting it back though. Get out of it. And Jimmy's was no slacking, which was, I'd stop that, no slacking, which we've used in Chucklevision and everything. I've used it in several Chucklevisions, not every one on telly that I've done.
And the tours.
But Jimmy got in the early days because I was compared at Berwick Holiday Centre. Jimmy was at Haggerston Castle, and we did a show together at each place on 2 of the days of the week, at least 2 of the days. And Jimmy, they wanted him to do Chucklevision thing and me to do another one because we only did one in each mainly. They got him in, and then I said, I can't do it on that day because can't use it. So they never used me for about 5 of the first ones. And then eventually, they've been using Jimmy. They said, well, Brian will give you one. So I did one. First one was where I got pied in the face. I was a vicar. So I got pied in the face. And, get out of it. And then they used me quite a lot after. Well, I was in at least one of every one. I did one where I did about 4. I did more than Jim because he did, I think, 3 and I did 4. But that's because 2 of them were the same thing. The Incredible Shrinking Barrier. I don't know if you've seen it.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's it. Well, I was there. Hello, but I'm an old man. I'm sitting in the chair. And as I say, that was 2. So 2 of those, and then another 3. So I had a good one there. I didn't tell Jim at first. I thought, he said, "Good heavens, you're doing better than me in it." Yeah. But of course, as I say, he was their sort of mentor in a way, wasn't he? On it, it was no slacking. Was the one that they sort of went to every time. But marvellous.
Well,
great career.
Brian, thank you so much for taking the time.
A great pleasure. Hope I haven't bored you to tears with it.
Not at all.
Well, this has been marvellous. It really has been a great pleasure. And you know a heck of a lot about the business. And this, hopefully, has helped you out as well. And for your lovely listeners and for yourself, I'd just like to say, get out of it!
Yay! Thank you so much.